Welcome back to Hannity. Now, yesterday, I had 2016 presidential candidate Senator Ted Cruz on my radio program, and I asked him about the delegate process. Now, since Cruz says we're headed to a contested convention in Cleveland, I think it's an important question. Well, things got a little heated when I asked him about it. Here's part of that interview.
I am telling you that people are telling me that they find this whole process confusing. You know, I can read the articles, for example, about, you know, what people want to know what actually happened in Georgia this weekend, where people that I guess on the first ballot are going to Donald Trump, but representatives of yours talk to them and are persuading them to vote for you on a second ballot. That is an important question, because I think most people would like to know how this works. And I really am asking you, it's more than a process question. It's an integrity of the election question. And everybody's asking me this question. So I'm giving you an opportunity to explain it.
Sean, the only people asking this question are the hardcore Donald Trump supporters.
Why do you do this every single time no, you got to stop. Every time I have you on the air and I ask a legitimate question, you try to throw this in my face. I'm getting sick of it. I've had you on more than any other candidate on radio and TV. So if I ask you, Senator, a legitimate question to explain to the audience, why don't you just answer it?
Sean, can I answer your question without being interrupted?
Go ahead.
In the last 3 weeks, there have been 5 elections in 5 states: Utah, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Colorado, Wyoming. We've won all 5. Over 1.3 million people voted in those 5 states. We won all 5. All of this noise and complaining and whining has come from the Trump campaign, because they don't like the fact that they've lost 5 elections in a row, that Republicans are uniting behind our campaign. So they're screaming on Drudge, and it's getting echoed, this notion of voterless election. It is nonsense. They are making it up.
What if the delegate selection doesn't represent the will of the people in that particular district or area?
Sean, that's why there's an election. And listen.
No, I mean, but if there's a conflict, that's why Senator, I don't know why you're mad. There's no, I'm asking, I'm just trying to understand it. I'm really having a hard time understanding why you're getting angry at this.
All right, joining us now with Reaction Radio talk show host Rose Tennant and author David Limbaugh, who also happens to be my attorney, but also is a Cruz supporter. David, this has now happened in the last 3 interviews that I've had with Senator Cruz. I feel like I've been more than fair to him. If you have legitimate criticism, as a friend, I'm willing to listen to it. I think it's a very important question. I don't think people understand it. I listen to, you know, people that write me and people that text me and people on Twitter. What do you think?
Well, Sean, you're one of my best friends, and I am completely supportive of Ted Cruz. I don't think he was really mad, and I think it's more of a misunderstanding. If he was aggravated, it's not at you, it's at Donald Trump for recklessly misrepresenting that stealing and cheating is going on. This system has been in place for 150 years or more. In the states, we've had a hybrid of pure democracy, we have caucuses, we have primaries, and there has been no stealing going on. No one's ever complained about this before, and I think Lisa Booth was correct when she said this is messaging. This is an Alinskyite tactic Trump is using to get Cruz off message, and his frustration, if he had any, was not at you, but that since Iowa, Trump has been accusing him of being lying Ted, and he won't talk about the real issues. Cruz wants to get him in a debate where he can whip him fairly and squarely. He's going to these precincts and caucuses and courting these people and convincing them. But Trump accusing Cruz of cheating is also accusing the grassroots people, saying that party bosses have stolen this thing. These are grassroots people who have walked these precincts and worked hard all their lives for conservative principles. And for Trump to say there's cheating going on, he's impugning them and he's undermining the election process.
Rose, let's get your take on it.
Hi, Sean. I thought you did a great job during that interview. I found him to be somewhat condescending, not only towards you, but to the voters who really don't understand what's going on. And for many of us, Pennsylvania especially, we've never really had to experience this, not for a very long time. So this is a very complicated process, and we don't understand that once we've gone through a primary or a caucus, that things can actually change. When we spoke our mind, we voted, and then we find out only later that those things can be changed. And I think that's what frustrates a lot of people, and my listeners are especially concerned. And I've had listeners call me and tell me that they were Cruz supporters, But right now, they're confused by all of this, and it reads as something that's not quite right. Even though we know it's legal, everything that's been done by Ted Cruz in his campaign is legal, they're not feeling right about it.
Yeah.
They don't feel good about it. And I think that's important. And I love David. But I'll tell you what, there are grassroots volunteers on the other side, on Trump's side, working for him tirelessly, putting in so much time, enthusiasm, and passion into this campaign, and they're feeling as though the primaries don't matter.
David, I'm sympathetic to the idea that everybody knew the rules going in. Going forward, meaning not in this election cycle, I would like to see, it's a national party, the party represents the people. I think that states should have choices. They should either be a caucus state or primary state. They can be proportional distribution of delegates or winner take all. And I think every delegate needs to be unbound. Rose is talking about Pennsylvania. The winner of Pennsylvania gets 17 delegates, 54 are unbound, and you actually have names of delegates not representing the candidates. In other words, they don't have the name of the delegate and the candidate they're supporting. So I think there can be improvements to the system going forward because it is confusing. I don't see any problem courting delegates for a second ballot. If you think it's going to go to a contested convention, that's fine. But I think having it explained by the candidates what their strategy is a legitimate question.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I wish he would have answered it directly and blown it out of the water. But because these rules have been in place, and Trump knows it, and this is disingenuous for him to do it. You're correct. If we want to change these rules, we have to go obey the process in doing that too. Obey the rules. Do it in a timely way. Do it in a way that's way before the election, the primary process begins, not after the fact, after you've lost these elections because you've been outgunned, outprepared, outmaneuvered, and outworked by Ted Cruz. And so I just don't think it's right for Trump to raise these issues. It's a fine, legitimate question for you to ask, but states and the party have a right to do what they want to do, and we don't want it forced down their throats, but there ought to be what about the fact that 60% of the people voted for Trump last night, and he'll get 90% of the delegates? It's not a pure democracy any way you do it. And so and Trump has far more delegates, a far higher percentage of delegates than his percentage of popular vote.
Right.
Part of the reason we have this convention thing is that people want to marshal a majority coalition which can go against the Democrats and defeat them. If Trump is unable to convince a majority of unbound delegates, should it go to a second or third ballot, then there's no way he could have beaten Hillary Clinton.
Rose, last word, quick.
Well, I just think that people are looking right now as a vote for Cruz as a vote for a contested convention. And most people really don't want that, and I don't think it's a good idea. And I think that for Pennsylvanians, they better know who they're going in to vote for, not just for president, but delegates as well. They got to get a commitment from those delegates going into the booth.
Actually, in the next 2 days, I'm putting up on my website who the delegates are supporting. So this way people in Pennsylvania will know. I think that's just fair for them. Guys, I love you both. Thank you both for being with us. Appreciate it.